Well, hello. Welcome to Top Dice and to Table Talk. My name's Aid, and we've got Alan. Hi, Alan.
Oh,
And we also have Sedge. How are you, Sedge? You okay?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Absolutely. Do you
yeah,
know what?
really good, thank you.
We'll tell you. We'll tell you about that in a minute. And
Right on.
Greg, first time. Hello.
Hi everyone, great to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, very welcome. So we'll start with the usual. Alan, how's your week been? Bit better, less chaotic.
Um, no, no, it has. No, fine. No, things have calmed down a little bit. But yeah, last week was mental. But as I've spoken about before, we signed a distribution deal with Goodman Games for Dungeon Crawl Classics, Mutant Crawl Classics, and X Crawl Classics. And after much kicking about of whose responsibility is it to get all these things onto our website, it fell on me. So there were like 80, I think there's about 80 new lines of Goodman Games stuff that's gone now live on our website and is available for sale. There's nothing absolutely brand spanking new, but there's a lot of things that have been quite hard to get. So that was my big project really last week. But it was, do you know,
Yeah.
it's an education doing things like that because you learn so much about the products anyway, just doing something like that.
Well, this will be filtering down to the shops as well. So the friendly local
Yeah,
game shops will be the good ones and the bad ones, as we hasten to add. We'll be
yeah,
stocking these products in the current and not too distant future, hopefully.
yeah.
More of them if they're good, less of them if they're bad. That's all I'm going to say.
I couldn't possibly comment.
No, you couldn't possibly comment. Did you get a game in this past week?
Yes, we played some East Texas University last week, which was really good fun. Um, yeah, I love that setting. It's just for me, it's just such a departure as a role player from a sci-fi or a fantasy or what or something like Section D or whatever. You know, playing a college kid doing Scooby-Doo type style investigations. It's just good fun.
Yeah.
It's a great setting. We have great fun with it. I am going to hold my hand up though. I have to say that I have dipped out. I should be playing Traveller tomorrow evening, and I've chosen the sports ball instead.
Well, you know, it
I'm a
happens.
traitor, traitor.
Dear me, and he was. I thought you sort of
And
ate,
I can see
drank,
John. I can
lived,
see John
slept.
Cleese.
Yeah.
I can see John Cleese and his mates sitting in that amphitheater going split up.
Exactly. It's well, I got a game in, which was good. Call of Cthulhu weekend for a few hours on the Sunday, with Kate joining us as well, and Hannah and Laura as well. It was their first look at for Hannah and Laura, first look at Call of Cthulhu, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. Something very different for them. What else has been going on? I've been told Assassin's Creed, the role-playing game, is prepping for sending out. So this is a couple of years late, is this particular game. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that. It's going to be another month, I reckon, at
What's that about
least.
then?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I'll tell you when it comes. It actually it looks really good, but that's it's because it's so novel. That's the reason why I sort of went for it. It's not like any other role playing game I've actually sort of seen. I know we say that all the time. I've come up with a idea for a new role playing game, which is probably going to be taking 12 to 18 months to sort, and I need to speak to a couple of people about which system I'm going to be using and see if I can actually get permission. But more on that another time. Oh, and the other thing, one sec. I finally got round to having a look at my Cosmere stuff. So
Ooh.
um, I've got books galore over there. So that's from the Kickstarter that went on. That was so I'm going to give that a bit of a look at over the next couple of weeks, just to sort of clear my mind a little bit. Anyway, enough about me. It's not about me. It's all about you. Greg, we'll come to you next. The first time on. Thanks very much for joining us. So, a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Nottinghamshire-based dice and wood crafter is probably how I'd wrap myself in a nugget. Been trading for about 3 months now. Been targeting local stores initially. Would like to work myself up to a games expo at some point in the future, but I've got a way to go before I grow myself to that sort of size of dice maker. But certainly at the moment, I'm exploring new game systems to make dice for. Last week, I just finished off a D6 set, so I've got little baggies of 6 D6. The week before that, I actually managed to polish off my Blood Bowl set, so making Blood Bowl.
Very nice. Yep.
And
Cool.
prior to that, I've done Dagger Heart sets and the classic Dungeons and Dragons sets as well. So I am targeting the likes of Necromunda at some point in the future, as well as then refreshing my Magic the Gathering spin down sets as well. So,
Excellent. So quite a selection. One, I suppose, request from myself on the dice. I know they come in specific sets with so many dice. One ask going forward, or one suggestion for me is rather than having one D6 in there, have 3 D6 if possible, or give the option to include an extra couple of D6, because if you play D&D or other certain games, you can end up using a couple of them in Savage Worlds, for example. It's always handy to actually sort of have it as part of it. I think it just looks better. And the dice, you were showing me some others before we started recording, the gold ones, etc. Very, very nice. So we'll keep in touch on this and see how it actually sort of goes. And if you get the links to me, I will include the links in the description of this video.
Thank you.
It's interesting what you say there, though, Aid, about the number of D6 in a set, because I remember Troll Lord Games, they brought out, arguably, in my opinion, the best starter set for any role-playing game that's come out in the last, probably 12, 18 months at least. And don't get me wrong, the Vaesen sets and the Pathfinder ones and what have you, they're all fantastic. We love a starter set. The one criticism that was leveled at the Troll Lord Games one was, you roll 3D, 3D6 or 4D6 and take the best 3 for stats. Why not put 4 dice in the box? And I'm thinking, is that the worst comment you can make? Leave it.
Yeah, it's a pain having to pick it up and re-roll it.
Yeah.
No.
It's far too much like exercise for role players, isn't it? First world issues. Yeah, definitely.
It's and Sedge, how are you? Good to have you back. One of our usual American correspondents. Hello, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, hello, guys. Great to be back as always, and had some fun playing Alpengard with some old colleagues / friends of mine. So that's been a blast in the past week. And then speaking of dice, Greg, I know you're looking for new systems, and Alpengard uses the traditional 7 dice set plus the D30 is the key one for my system. So that's always cool to get a kind of an off-kilter die and roll that and see what comes up. So always a blast.
Definitely. And you're working on a basic version of Alpengard as well at the moment, I believe.
Correct. Yes, it's not going to be an additional book. So the core rule book will stand, and this will just be a downloadable reference document online that just simplifies it, and it won't give you nearly the depth that the actual role-playing game offers. However, the basic version will allow people to get used to the core mechanic, and if a group of adults just want to slay some monsters after work, it'll be good for that, or just introducing the system to younger players who maybe want to get used to the vocabulary. It'll be ideal.
Right, so you've heard it here. When that's out, make sure you pick up the PDF and grab some of Greg's dice, and winner. What can we say?
Beautiful.
There we go. Other news. Now, I know you've got no new releases this week, Allan. We've already sort of talked about that.
Everything is first week of July. Well, not everything, but we've got a lot of things there first week of July. It's going to be massive.
Is Pathfinder Quest going to be in there?
Pathfinder Quest is in there. There is High Seas for Pathfinder, so ships and things like that. And but they've done like a gazetteer of port cities and other places for, it's all around Galarian. So there's port cities and things like that. And there's a flip map fleet flagship is coincides and goes along with that. And then there's alien ancestries for Starfinder as well.
So there's
So
quite a bit.
yeah, but then the 1st of July is also the official release date now that we have, or retail release date for Gallows Corner from our friend George at Three Sails Studios, or George and his team, which just looks stunning. It really, really does look it looks fantastic. And George has been on and talked about his
we need
different
to get
mechanics and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, that's down for the 1st of July, and we've got so many things coming through on the back of Games Expo and stuff like that. And obviously there's plenty of stuff coming through from other folks as well. I'm just talking about what we've got. But July in as a whole as well is just going to be massive, because you've got Gen Con as well at the end of July. And
there's going to be quite a few announcements there of things to come. So, and things to come. I noticed that the Wizards of the Coast are going to be doing 5th edition versions of the Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, and Transformers role-playing game, which is quite different, I think, really, from my side.
I'm going to take the 5th on those, I think.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's the 5th edition.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
Yeah, right. Well, okay. Well, we'll stop the jokes. It's just not working. I'll go back to my coffee.
Yeah. One Shoggoth or two?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Anyway.
Do you know what? So what did you say? G.I. Joe, Transformers, and
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Easily. I mean, I'd be interested to know what you other guys think. Transformers may have some legs. This is my personal opinion. Transformers may have some legs. I played Robotech back in the day from Palladium, and we played quite a lot of that, and that was very enjoyable. So I can see Transformers having some legs. I'm not sure about the others, but if you're looking for a gateway game for a younger audience, then they're going to work a treat, aren't they? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I grew up on Transformers. I remember the original commercials, and so that's definitely embedded in my psyche. And there's an immediate appeal there, as well as recognition of G.I. Joe. Power Rangers was past my time. So, obviously there's nostalgia and the connection with so many things that have been done with those types of games. So I can't imagine there isn't a market there. But how far will it go? Yeah, that's a question mark.
It is. It's what do you think, Greg? Any thoughts on this? Now you're mainly a D&D player, I think, aren't you, Greg? Yeah.
So I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, Alan, in terms of it sounds like they're trying to get as many new players into this as they can do. If I look into how the likes of Stranger Things has impacted actual core D&D, that took a big boost. But obviously, Stranger Things has a certain audience. If once they've milked that audience, they need to start casting nets out to find new audiences. And if utilizing some of these other systems can bring in a new audience for Wizards games, why wouldn't they give it a shot? I'd be interested to see if it's more than just a facelift of D&D, or would they be introducing new rules associated with that? I guess that's something I'd be interested to see.
Well, they were released originally as what was called an Essence D20 system, or an Essence 20 system. So, although it was Wizards of the Coast, it was Renegade Games, I think they're called, which is like Wizards of the Coast. It's a subsection of Hasbro, and the immediate thought was that they would be using the D&D system when they brought these out originally. That didn't happen. I had the Transformers role-playing game. It was actually quite slick. I ended up getting rid of it simply because I couldn't see me ever playing it or running it. So that was it went by the board basically. GI Joe, I picked that one up as well just to have a look at it to see because these are supposed to be all interconnecting these particular games. That was the thing with the system, and so you could have GI Joes going up against Power Rangers, going up against Transformers, and yeah, the GI Joes. I kept thinking Action Man, which is they were called Action Men. Said in the UK were GI Joes. We didn't call them
Gotcha.
GIs because obviously we're British and
Yeah.
we do our own
Yeah.
thing, and that would just be just not the right thing. They had to be action men. Uh, so um, yeah, it was a really interesting book again, but I couldn't see anything that I could do with it. So we'll see what happens. I'm really surprised that they haven't done a Monopoly role-playing game yet.
Well, I'm not sure if
Stealing
anyone's
money
picked up.
from each other. Yeah.
Oh
I wasn't
God.
sure. I was going to say I wasn't sure if anyone's picked up or had a look at the game, but I was looking through Games Workshop, Warhammer World,
Yeah,
weeks back. That's so they've got a new RPG system out as well. I don't know how new it is, but they've got an RPG system out, which seems to be D&D, yeah, but in the Warhammer universe, both for the 40K universe and the fantasy universe.
that's Cubicle 7. They are really worth if you're into role-playing games. Now I've got a few issues with Cubicle 7 from my side of the distribution and the way that goes, but the games are really well put together. They look good. They could do with a bit better editing at times, but I'm quite a fan of it. And the new one they've got out, which is the Warhammer Old World RPG, is absolutely brilliant. It's very, very, very well done. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And the 40K ones, I've not touched those yet, but I know a couple of people that have them, and I believe that they live up to the expectations as well.
Yeah. I played I'm trying to think of the name of it now, the 40K one. A couple of years ago at a convention. And that was really good fun. And it had all of the sort of bonus dice and sort of dice pool thing going on. So it wasn't D20 rule set.
No.
If I'm honest, I can't remember that much about the rule set because we just had a bunch of good players who just dived in. And it's like any game, when you've got that, the game system kind of doesn't matter if you've got a bunch of players who engage with the game and with each other, then most games can be quite good, can't they? But I do remember it being a good fun session.
It, well, it's Games Workshop, isn't it? The IPs they have are absolutely brilliant and so well thought out. Whether it's Blood Bowl, Necromunda, or 40K, or even just your simple Warhammer,
Yeah.
they do it and they get the imagery for it absolutely spot on. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just
I mean,
can't argue with that.
I know from back in the day, a long time ago, when Games Workshop were producing lots of different things, the Games Workshop Judge Dredd role-playing game, which arguably was the forerunner of the Warhammer rule system.
Yeah.
And then, but then their own versions of RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu and Stormbringer, and a whole bunch of games that Games Workshop brought to the young and impressionable teenager that I was at that time. So, again, I mean, I don't know what the experience of other people was, but for me, Games Workshop did some fantastic stuff.
Brilliant, yeah.
And they made a few mistakes as well, but then, don't we all?
Who does?
Yeah.
And White Dwarf used to be the magazine that we'd all be waiting for each month
Yeah.
back in the day. And
Yeah.
it covered all the role play. Well, it was a role playing magazine rather than a war games mag. But they've gone the way they want to. Games Workshop's a fair play to them. Warhammer, as now the shops are called, so fair play to them. They've clearly thought it out. They've got everything going the way they want. They've got media spin-offs and all sorts happening. You've got Cavell who's doing his 40K thing. So there's all sorts happening with it, and
Yeah.
as much as it
They
gets
let other people
decried,
handle. They let other
yeah,
people handle the RPGs, and that's fine.
yeah, that's it. They know full well that's not an area they want to get into. So there you go, Cubicle 7. You deal with that. Brilliant. They don't need to sort of be messing around with that side then. They can get on with what they know and get those models out there for very expensive prices.
And I think while we're on the subject of Games Workshop, John Blanche,
Yes,
God rest his
sadly
soul,
missed, yeah.
his imagery and the work that he did to bring the original Warhammer role play and Warhammer 40k and things to life was just incredible.
Yeah.
And can't, sadly missed very much so. John Blanche, yeah.
Definitely. It's got off subject a little bit, a
We
bit there,
have.
but yeah, but that's the way we actually sort of roll on this, quite literally. It's we need some of your dice, Greg. That's the way we roll on this. It's we just end up in all sorts of places. What I'm
Do
really
you know what?
surprised.
I want to run with it. I want to ask. I want to ask Greg and Sedge what their sort of experiences are of Games Workshop products from their early days in the hobby.
I used to play when I was a lot younger. Start with 40k. I mean, this is early 2000s. I used to play.
Right.
Started with 40,000. Started playing fantasy, and then I moved into Blood Bowl when I was playing. For me, I loved it. I loved that there was always a story, a background behind everything. I've looked into my painting skills back when I started. I found some of my old miniatures and realized I was awful at painting. Thankfully, I've come on a little bit since then, and I just loved that. It was almost like meditation for me, just being able to lock myself away with the paints and being able to do that. The one criticism I found was certainly when we had the full battles in Warhammer Fantasy, they would take a full weekend and we never finished them, even over a full weekend. There was generally 6 of us. We'd play 3v3. We'd make up some story on why Wood Elves would be teaming up with the Empire against the Lizardmen. But it was a brilliant experience, and we'd make a full weekend out of it at a friend's house. Blood Bowl I enjoyed because it was a very condensed game. You could get through a game of Blood Bowl in an hour, and that was what I did enjoy. After school, you could actually get a game of Blood Bowl done and get home ready for tea.
Definitely. It's
Right.
so did you come across Games Workshop much?
You know what? I was purely a spectator, so I can't comment on the mechanics, but I remember enjoying just watching people go at it. I was always more on the storytelling side with my RPG experiences, but the player versus player and watching people get into it just always a blast for sure.
It's well, again, we used to we were actually the first. This is going back now. We were the first shop in the UK to actually sort of have games going off in the shop. It was a common thing in America.
Absolutely.
And it was some feedback we actually got. This is back in the late 80s, early 90s. This, Greg, I used to actually run a games shop and manage a game shop. And it was only a small pokey hole, to be quite blunt. But we got a couple of tables in there. And even on a Saturday when it was really busy, we got games going. Initially, it was Warhammer Star Wars, Blood Bowl, Dungeon Bowl. When that came out for the first time, we held a tournament on a Saturday, which was so well sort of attended. And I remember, to give you some idea of what the prices were like then, you could buy a full team of Dark Elves for $9.99.
Yes.
So I don't know. How much do they actually cost now? Does anybody have any idea?
I did go around Warhammer World, I'd say a few weeks ago, and I was very close to picking up a team, but you don't get. I think the rule book was £30-ish, and then the team on top of that was between 30 to £40, I think, for the full team.
Yeah, I suppose in the grand scheme of things, not that bad. And the rule books that we used to sort of sell the separate ones, you couldn't buy the actual separate Blood Bowl rule book, but you could get like the companion, and they were initially $7.99, then $9.99, and then they went up to $12.99. There you go. So
See, my first memory of Blood Bowl was the bookcase game box with
yeah, the
the
red one.
cardboard standees and what have you. And we love that game. Like Greg said, you could go round to your mate's house after school and play a game of Blood Bowl and still be home in time for tea. Yeah, just good fun.
That's it. It's do you know what? It's I know that's not role playing per se, but it's all part of the same hobby world.
I
So
think
Absolutely.
it's a massive gateway, which kind of
yeah,
brings us full circle, doesn't it?
it
About,
does.
we were talking about Transformers and G.I. Joe and what have you. And there's a My Little Pony role playing game and things like that, isn't there? So if those games get people into our hobby,
Sorry, I'm
then
just looking at the My Little
it's
Pony game now. Anyway,
no, but if those games get people interested in role playing, then that's great, isn't it?
there were some cool
So
mechanics in that, believe it or not, actually. That was the reason why I picked it up to look at and see. It was dirt cheap on sell through. So and I'm
And
glad I did.
speaking of, I was just going to say, speaking of, talking about Transformers and G.I. Joe or Action Men, as the case may be, there's a real market, at least here in America. I'm not sure how it is in the UK, but I've noticed a lot of younger players enjoying 1980s and early 90s settings. And I'm talking people who are just in the up and coming generation. And there's lots of theories on that. But one thing that occurred to me is it's still relatively extremely high tech, but versus a lot of human history. But the technology is not so intrusive as it is now, where you have a smartphone that can literally track you where you are, or everywhere you are. Whereas if you want the mystery, and I'm not sure what it's like when, Alan, you're playing East Texas University and that, but forcing people to go to a library to research something instead of the University of Google. I mean, it
Yeah,
opens up so much storytelling there. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely a trend we're seeing here. And I'm curious about the UK, if you've noticed that as well.
it's definitely there's well, Pete Cakebread did Bit Odd in it, which was 1980s style British set version of Stranger Things. Um, you've got Kids on Bikes. You've got East Texas University. You've got East Texas Middle School, which I've got on the shelf behind me
Yeah,
here.
Pinebox Middle School. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
talk. I'll talk about it in a minute. Sorry, carry on.
so yeah, it's big. The Call of Cthulhu, 1920s, cell phones or anything like that. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You're stuck. You can't exactly call for backup. Easy. Well, you can't call for backup. Full stop.
Mhm.
You're on your own,
Sure.
mate. With
Yeah.
that tentacle thing coming in your face. Uh, so
So, so Pinebox Middle School has actually kind of embraced the whole technology thing, and there are rules for how much signal you have and how much power you have. So if you're the kid that's using their phone all the time, it will run out of power right at the
and then
point
you're
where
on
you
your own.
need it
Yeah.
and things like that. So I think that's really cool that the designers, it was Scott, his surname has escaped me, Tracy Sizemore, who recently did Hand Cluster for Savage Worlds, and they designed some fantastic rules to go alongside it, which just shows that they've had a think about it.
Yeah.
And Scott Woodard, that's it. And yeah, great, fair play to them, I think.
Definitely. Definitely. It's I must admit, the older I've got more into investigation than kicking the door in, killing a few goblins, nicking the treasure, going on to the next door, etc., etc. And that's why I enjoyed the Alpengard with the that we played the other week with
Mhm.
the whole storytelling aspect of it. That was great. And again, with what Greg said there about the working out the story background for why you'd actually sort of have the elves and the Empire working together against the Lizardmen for it might seem normal, but really is it? It's getting those stories running
Absolutely.
and grabbing people and pulling them into them, and that's what makes it memorable, and that's why you remember it. And again, Greg, with your mentions there about your Blood Bowl being a big thing, and you'd have had little stories going on behind the scenes there. I'm quite sure. And again, um, so with yours again, it's the same. Going and Alan talking about the D&D, etc. You'll have fond memories, and I do as well. And those memories stay with you, even though they were in my case, 50 years ago. I still remember a lot of them like yesterday, taking down that dragon with a one-shot arrow,
Yeah.
Classic. Anyway,
Absolutely.
time is running away with us. I'm going to run on to what would have been the main sort of thing we'd have been talking about.
Yeah, we
What
didn't
RP
derail that at all, did we?
No, we didn't. And that's the great thing with this. We can sort of talk on and on and on about things. But the question I posed on the UK Tabletop Role-Playing Facebook page this week was, what RPG system does one thing better in your opinion than the others? And we had a stack of responses going on here. So, Greg, I know D&D, what do you think that does better than others that you've sort of seen and witnessed? Is there anything in there that you that sort of stands out for you?
So I guess I think I mentioned in the comments to you before, I felt there's a bit of a disadvantage that I've not played a huge amount of games outside of Daggerheart and D&D. But for me, the thing that D&D does really well, and Daggerheart evolves on that a bit as well, is the pure escapism, being able to set yourself aside, and it's a joint story.
Yeah.
It's not just the DM railroading you. I know it can happen in D&D, but it's like a collaborative thing. Sometimes your players mess up, sometimes the bad guy messes up. And it's that sort of ability of just, some things are a guarantee, but the less of them, the better. And it's more kind of a chance and more emphasis on the individuals and their actions and the choices they make.
It's one thing I'd like to ask is, because I've never played Daggerheart, what's the one standout thing from Daggerheart that sort of sticks with you as a system?
So for me, Daggerheart gives you less rules. Now, I've only played as a player. I've not actually read the rule book.
That's fine. It's from a player's perspective, this, yeah.
So it feels as though there's less rules. So there's more reliance on having a good DM or GM running your game. One who's very good at improv, and I've been very lucky. It's the same DM we use for D&D, who took us on Daggerheart. And it's very much more the story based. The role playing elements really shine. You want to do an action, you don't have to worry about how many foot of movement you've got. Can I get from here to here? It's like, no, this is what I want to do. And the DM will kind of improvise. Okay, roll this check and this check. And yep, you can bounce off the tree and you leap and potentially slip in mud right in front of the monster. That sort of thing. So it's very much less rules, which means that I guess DMs who do favour the framework and do like having that support might find D&D better than Daggerheart. But the flip side is, if you've got someone who's very good at improv, Daggerheart can shine. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I'm going to look at Daggerheart is something I'm going to be looking at some point in time. Sedge, what about yourself? Is there? We'll use Alpengard. What does Alpengard do better than anything else?
Well, I'm slightly biased.
Exactly.
But, I like the core mechanic, the D30 based die, and being able to compress that variable component and burn Pneuma to switch out with a D10 or a D20 or a D10, depending on whether you're doing improved or advanced rolls. I think that's a unique aspect of it, and having the Pneuma energy pool tied to so many different things. Am I going to upgrade dice or save Pneuma for that special power to fight that boss who may or may not be coming around the corner? But also on a deeper, we talk about the storytelling. With Alpengard, you get the ability to design your character exactly how you want, with a personality that maybe you want to play that usually isn't allowed for your particular, what I call a call, which is just the class. So you can have an intelligent warrior who's every bit as combat effective as a strong or quick one. So if that's your mental picture of what you want your character to develop as, you can do that. Or a charismatic druid who's a life of the party. So focusing on particular abilities or giftings in life doesn't railroad you into a particular profession. There'll be advantages and disadvantages. And I felt like that, and even bringing in life skills to making you don't regain all your Pneuma unless you've had full nutrition. Well, that can make your cooking skills suddenly worthwhile. And if I, as the GM, have starved you and the party wants to regain its Pneuma and you just killed a troll, can you eat it? Or will you throw it up? and end up worse off. And all of a sudden, I got a friend who's building a character and deliberately stacking him to become a master chef because he wants to come in clutch in those situations. So it brings in all those life skills that are really valid in real life and make them fun.
Yeah.
So do you know what I've got in my head now, right? So there's a fish, isn't there? That it's like literally like one nibble on this fish will kill you, and I can't remember which fish it is.
It's the puffer fish or something.
But-
It's got to be a special
there
part.
are-
You can only eat little bits of it or something.
But there are Japanese sushi chefs who specialize in preparing this thing and not killing people, right?
Sure.
So all I've got in my head now is somebody taking a slice off a troll and making a ceviche with it or something like that. And but then if they get it wrong, then the troll starts to regenerate while it's in their stomach or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the mind boggles.
Oh, crazy.
And
but you made Greg made an interesting point about Daggerheart, which sparked something with me, going back to first edition or original AD&D, which was Gary Gygax himself saying these rules are guidelines and it's rulings over rules. So if the DM wants to allow that character to move further than they should and can explain how they actually managed to move further than they should, then fine, just go with it. It's that's
epic story.
That's what it's all. Yes, exactly. So yeah.
It's and do you have any sort of favorite RPG systems that does things better?
Me? I'm going to mention two. One of which made a fairly serious impression on me a long time ago, and that's Chivalry and Sorcery. It would be probably the second edition of Chivalry and Sorcery, and in particular, the magic system. Because up to that point, I'd only played games where characters knew spells. And, it was a fireball or a sleep spell or whatever. Whereas Chivalry and Sorcery had this whole mechanism where you would create a tongue of fire, and then you amplify it, and then it had create, amplify, detach, accelerate, all of these different things that you could do. So you literally created the spell on the fly, so it was always a little bit different, and that to me was like, if wizards existed, then that's the essence of it, because it's not just a case of going to a book and going om nom zap. I think it's much better. You get a much better role-playing experience, I think, from that whole system of create that spell on the fly, make it do what you want it to do, and that just it's called Chivalry and Sorcery for a reason. And that is that always resonated with me, was that magic system, and the only one that I found that's even remotely as flexible is probably the one in Savage Worlds, which I'm going to come on to for something else, because Savage Worlds has about 50 spells, and a bolt spell is a bolt spell is a bolt spell, and it doesn't matter if you fire, if it's electricity or fire or wind or a wasp with its ass backwards, and it's the sting that does the damage. You can skin those things up any way that you want, and so it's got the flexibility, but at the end of the day, it's still a power, as they call it in Savage Worlds. But it does have that a bit more player agency, which I like. But the other thing that I was going to mention, which I put onto the Facebook group, was what I love about Savage Worlds is the edges and the hindrances. And this goes back to, again, what Greg and Phil have said about crafting a character the way you want them to be. And I think the edges and hindrances allow you to do that. So, the hindrances can help you build the backstory. They certainly provide you with role-playing opportunities as the game goes on. The edges, you can have a warrior Or you could stand 5 warriors up, five character build warriors with the same level of experience, and every single one of them would be different and
Yeah.
have a different fighting style and all of that kind of thing because of that edge and hindrance sort of system. So yeah, I love that. And I think it was Peter asked a question in, how's it different from disadvantages and advantages in other systems? Well, I've not actually, whether there's advantages and disadvantages in the new version of D&D or whatever, I'm not sure. But it's not something that I've come across in another game that I play. That's not to say that it's not out there. And if there is that kind of system and it creates those kind of opportunities, then it's exactly the same comment,
Yeah.
It allows you to create an individual character, and it gives the player a lot of agency at the table
Yes.
for doing different things and like I said, role play opportunities and things like that. So for me, edges and hindrances in Savage Worlds is one of the top game mechanics out there.
Definitely. And interesting about the magic that you actually mentioned there as well, because again, Mage of the Ascension, you crafted your own spells with that, with your various abilities that you actually had, which was
Yeah.
a great idea. I'm going to read through some of the comments that actually sort of were on there. Now, a few of these might be a bit controversial, but we'll cover them anyway. So Nook Harper, Ars Magica arguably has the best magic system ever, designed with the form and technique, concept tracking, very close to what you've actually sort of said there. And I've played Ars Magica. It is good. And I think that it was arguably based on the chivalry and sorcery idea back in the day. And of course, the guys who wrote Ars Magica, one of them specifically, ended up writing Mage of the Ascension. So
Right.
there we go, bit of darkness, World of Darkness going on there. And he actually sort of says that Mage of the Awakening second, which is again World of Darkness, is a close contender for the same reasons. Blades in the Dark does stress-driven crime exceptionally well, and Gumshoe in all its iterations does investigations exceptionally well. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one from Alexander Barahona. Earthdawn magical items, thread items scale with level, so they have history, require interaction with that history, and all are tied in with name lore. I did love Earthdawn back in the day. I've not played it for years. That's one I need to get back into at some point. And I've got your comment there as well, Alan, about edges and hindrances. Dave Hodson, Rollmaster standard system and dangerous combat. Well, the beauty of 6/6 crits
The 66 critical,
yeah.
yes.
And I don't know if you probably want to come across Rollmaster, but it's a very interesting, very crunchy, rules-heavy system when it comes down to it. In some ways, very much a thing of its time, but absolutely legendary in the critical hit tables and failure tables as well. What else do we have actually here? Isa Bilal, the BECMI Red Box Dungeons and Dragons. So very much so. Strongholds, dominions, mass combat, weapon mastery, intuitive skills system, gaining immortality. These are all parts of the core rules. Recommend anyone to get a copy of the Rules Cyclopedia, published in 1991. Definitely,
Yeah.
I
Good luck
love
with that.
D&D. Yeah, well,
Good
you
luck
get
getting
it.
hold of one of those.
You can get it in on a reprint from
Actually, yes, you can
Drive
get them
Through.
from drive-through, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorites, Pendragon. So there
Oh,
we go.
yes.
What does it do better? Supports role playing. For those that don't know, it's got a traits and passions system, which gives the player a clear view of what their characters or knights' personalities at a general level, and helps them by supporting decision making and providing the impetus to make consistent personalities choices that fit in with the setting, and provides meter rewards as well. So yeah, definitely on that. I love Pendragon. It's amazing how this system has never been adopted into other RPGs, as it's so good. I can see the point there, but then again, I think it would end up diluting Pendragon if they did that, and they'd just be called, I don't know, just a weak version actually of it. That's I do want to try Daggerheart. I really, really do. You've got me interested now on that. There's also Nimble as well, which is sort of it.
Yes.
I'm trying to cut back on games, so I need to behave.
Yeah, I did a trial run in Games Expo, not the one just gone, but 2025, and it was enjoyable, but it was a very condensed version. And it wasn't until we did a Christmas one shot that we really explored it. And even so much as the DM doesn't naturally get a turn unless they cash in a number of fear coupons
I
that
like
they
that.
reward from the players rolling their skill checks. Instead of a D20, it's actually two D12s. Kind of got a set here, roughly, so you can see. You've got a fear one and a hope one.
Yeah, different
If your
colours.
fear is above hope, you get the DM gets a fear token. If your hope is above fear, the player gets a hope token. And then the more fear tokens the DM gets, the worse things that can happen.
I like it. I like the idea of that. That's Samantha Giesman. I think that's the way you sort of say it. So apologies if not. Call of Cthulhu roleplay opportunities are stronger, encourages intelligent teamwork and smart players, but allows one player to shine brightly as required. Dice rolls are not always required for every single thing. Rule of cool applied liberally. I think, Sam, you're spot on that. Eric Lyon Taylor, Shadowrun does the tech meets fantasy very well. It does. I must admit, shame about the system, really. For me, but the setting again of Shadowrun is absolutely brilliant. Andy House, Call of Cthulhu again. The experience system, simple, engaging.
I was just going to say the experience system in Call of Cthulhu, and well, any of those,
any of them.
Any of that family, yeah. RuneQuest, they've all had very similar, didn't they? Experience
Exactly.
systems.
That's it. Rivers of London, basic role playing. That's it. Here's Drew Murray, Witchcraft, a Unisystem, did mechanical magic really well, similar to Ars Magica. Again, it's floating back to this, and I think you absolutely hit it on the head on the nail on the head there with the chivalry and sorcery was what started this. Scope for creativity and whimsy with a solid mechanical base, plus exploding dice mechanics are fun. Always fun that. Steve Mayhew, I love a little cuddly Steve.
One
More of a
of
fancy
us.
role play. It does grim and perilous very well. So yeah, I'll go with that. Plus the career-based system works well.
I love the crit system in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The first edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I loved that crit system. It was great. So you chipped away at the hit points, but as soon as the hit points went into a minus, then you were rolling critical damage.
That's it.
Which I think it was a really nice hybrid between an attrition system and one that could kill you quite quickly.
Definitely. It's Traveller's getting some love. Alec Phillips, Traveller, great way of inspiring you to world build and make character backstories from the character generation if you survived the original. Luke Morris, character and planet generation. So again, another bit of love there for Traveller. And the backpack management in Troika. Stephen A. Turner, whoever he is.
We don't know him.
Chivalry and sorcery. There's a shock. It's very much geared for campaign play, and you're giving get XP for downtime. You're spot on, Stephen. And you know what? You're doing wonders with CNS, mate. It's absolutely brilliant. Again, is that Alistair Fraser, Shadowrun? Again, a couple of good reasons that drew him. The conceptualization of Six World Magic. Okay, familiar, but then familiar world adding a twist of magic to it. Using old legends, that's again quite effective, and how the rule set was logical in its implementation between mechanics and actual gameplay. Okay, I struggled with it, but I know some people that didn't and absolutely love the actual Shadowrun system. So I'll give you that. Richard Bryce Nye enjoyed the advantages and disadvantages system in Top Secret test site. We're getting so many games here. Hereward Proops, Terror Beneath using Gumshoe makes investigation mystery-based adventures a breeze to run. Amazing system. Dale Jennings is a shout out for Cyberpunk 2020 Life Path. Do you know what? It's great to see there's so many different games actually sort of here. And it's going to one more, last one. Mark Bradley. the bond sanity circular dynamic in Delta Green. So, yeah, simulates the slow destruction of the players' personal lives as they work within the conspiracy erodes every other part of their life until they go mad. Beautiful. Oh, and I can't miss this. Andrew Sutton. I truly believe Aftermath does complexity better than any other RPG. I will end it on that.
And we agree.
Yes.
It was Aftermath that had a D1000 hit table, wasn't
God,
it?
yeah. It just don't even go.
I've got a copy of it on the shelf there behind me. I bought it for pure nostalgia. I don't think I've ever read past the first few pages.
No, it was a hard read like the original Chivalry and Sorcery, which the first edition, which was defeated me completely. But that's the way it goes. Right, we're gonna have to wrap things up. Things have sort of moved on. I can't believe how late it actually is. So I'm going to sort of say thanks very much. Any last words from you? Start with you, Greg.
No, thanks again for having us.
Thanks very much for being here.
Yeah.
And Sech, how about you, sir? Good to see you. Alpengard going great. Any last words?
No, just great to hang with you guys. Always enjoy the banter.
Thanks for joining us as always and contributing as well to you both. And Allan, as always, absolute pleasure, sir.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute.
Yeah, the Batman and Robin, the Laurel and Hardy of the gaming industry is actually here in front of you.
Well, I'm trying to think of a witty comeback for that, but I really, really can't.
Well,
hang on, if we're the Laurel and Hardy of gaming, isn't one of us supposed to be skinny?
Well, yeah, that's. I'll tell you what. There you go, Greg. There we go. We can.
Yeah. We'll bring
Phil. There you go. That's it. Yeah,
that's it. We'll bring Greg or Phil in because it's a much better eye candy than us two, anyway. So,
definitely, very much, definitely. Well, look, thank you very much, and it's goodbye from them. We shall see you soon.
Goodbye, everybody. Happy gaming.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.